नमस्कार दोस्तों, मैं श्रेया कत्याल आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत करती हूँ रूबरू में। आज हमारे साथ हैं मिस्टर हिमाद्री डे, जो एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर हैं शिशु संकोपन गृह के। ये एक ऐसी संस्था है जो उन बच्चों का ध्यान रखती है, उनकी केयर करती है जो अपने माँ बाप खो देते हैं। तो चलिए जानते हैं सर से कि ये संस्था क्या करती है, इसके क्या इनिशिएटिव्स हैं और किस तरीके से ये उन बच्चों का ध्यान रखती है, उनकी केयर करती है। So, welcome to Marwah Studios.
Thank you very much.
So, just basically tell me that how this concept started and what are the initiatives you guys are taking right now?
Right, thank you for having me here. I'd like to start with telling you about the organization. It started in 1979 and initially the orphanage was dealing with a lot of children who were being abandoned, and if you know the Indian history a little bit, we have moved through a lot of social development over the last 60 years. And a lot of poverty and a lot of problems, social stigma issues have been around. So children were, a lot of children were abandoned and orphaned through the many years. आज की जो situation ये है कि हमारे देश में we talk about 20 million children are without families. That's a huge population. In fact, probably the highest number of orphan children in the world is based in India. And according to government statistics, by 2020 we should be reaching 24 million. अब आप सोच सकते हैं ये दिल्ली की पूरी पॉपुलेशन, एक सिटी की पॉपुलेशन, दिल्ली की सिटी की पॉपुलेशन में हमारे यहाँ पे ये सिचुएशन ये है that we have children who are orphaned, and that is a huge problem for us. I think that's a problem not only for an organization, it's a problem for the country by itself.
Exactly.
And how do we deal with that problem is very important. So what we are looking at is what we want to provide is a support to families that they are responsible to take care of their children. They are provided support to take care of their children. They are counseled to take care of the children, and they provided some basic resources to take care of their children.
Okay.
80% of children are abandoned because of death of one or both parents, or because one or the parent has left the family. And of course, as you know, most of these cases are from the lower strata of society. Economic issues, lack of knowledge, lack of education are all important factors that impact a child. Children at high risk are the ones who eventually are the ones who are put into institutions. This is a problem.
Institutions like?
Institutions are like orphanages, long care facilities.
Okay.
I mean, I think if you look at the Delhi government report of 2014 and 15, which is the last report that I have, we have 12,000 children in the Delhi institutions right now.
Okay.
And of course, what we know is a lot of these children are coming from outside the city of Delhi. But even then, for a figure of 12,000 in the city of Delhi, that's a huge number of children being put into institutions. And that can create a problem tomorrow if we are not able to look at how to help families to sustain their family together. Now, I'll give you an example. When we were young, we had joint family systems. So we had grandparents, we had uncles and aunts, and if something happened to one of us, the rest of the family would provide for us.
Exactly.
Today, moving into a nuclear environment has also destroyed the family structure, especially in big cities like Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore.
So, what you believe is that forming institutions isn't right?
I don't think so. I think they have to work in partnership with each other. You cannot deny institutions because there is a need. There are many children who have really no families. You have to provide care for these children. There is an emergent need for care. But there are many situations that we call children at risk of being abandoned. The question is, how can we prevent that from taking place? If we can work with families to prevent a breakdown of a family, that is better than providing a solution after the problem happens.
But उस केस में क्या, जिस केस में कोई है ही नहीं आगे पीछे देखने वाला, there's nobody.
Of course, in that case, then there is an issue.
Then you
there is
guys
no choice.
have a provision for that.
The
also?
whole of city of Delhi, or let's say in India, there are many institutions that provide care.
So
there are institutions to provide care.
Your organization has some provision for those.
We don't do residential care anymore.
Okay.
Residential care is a very challenging job. We have done residential care for 25 years.
Okay.
It's a very challenging job. It's also a very expensive job.
Challenging in what sense?
Taking care of a child is a big responsibility. I mean, it needs a lot of time and energy. It's a 24-hour job that works 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And you have a constant movement of staff, team, people.
Okay.
So finding people to work for you, it's a whole lot of, it's a very challenging.
And you cannot carry it haphazardly, right?
You have to be very organized.
Exactly.
It costs a lot of money to run a residential institution, and at the end, you may still not be able to achieve a lot of purposes.
So you guys just provide the financial support, the counseling thing to the family?
Yeah. See, what we do is we work in communities and we identify families who are at risk, especially children who are at risk in that family.
Okay.
अब ऐसे बहुत बच्चे हैं जो माँ बाप, जैसे हमारे पास अभी 2016 में हमने 40 बच्चे को आइडेंटिफाई किए और इस साल ऑलरेडी 30 चिल्ड्रन आइडेंटिफाई कर चुके हैं।
जैसे सर्विस करते हो आप लोग?
हम कम्युनिटीज़ में जाके काम करते हैं, हम जाते हैं, प्रधान से मिलते हैं, प्रधान हमें रेकमेंड करती है फैमिलीज़ को, फिर हम इवैल्यूएशंस करते हैं
विलेजेस वगैरह में,
विद इन द विलेज कम्युनिटीज इन द सिटी ऑफ दिल्ली। सो यू नो इफ यू गो इनटू स्लम्स,
उनके हेड्स जो होते हैं,
या सो एवरी स्लम आल्सो हैज दे हैव अ पंचायत। So if you go into the slums of Delhi, they have a non-formal kind of a leadership.
Okay.
So those people are leading. They may be seniors in that community. तो वो लोग लीड करते हैं, तो वो लोग बताते हैं कि ऐसे फैमिली में ये प्रॉब्लम है, या कोई एनजीओ है जो काम कर रहा है कम्युनिटी, तो वो भी कहते हैं कि ऐसी फैमिली में ये प्रॉब्लम है, आप इसको हेल्प कर सकते हैं क्या। लेकिन हम इमीडिएटली इसको सेलेक्ट नहीं करते, हमें इवैल्यूएशन करना पड़ता है। वी हैव टू डू अ काउंसलिंग सेशन, इवैल्यूएशन टू नो जेन्युइनली कि उनकी प्रॉब्लम क्या है।
अच्छा, आपको इतने साल हो गए हैं संस्था के साथ, इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ, तो ज़रूर आपको पता होगा वो एक फैक्टर, जैसे अगर किसी चाइल्ड ने, किसी बच्चे ने अपना फादर या मदर, अपना पेरेंट खो दिया है, तो उसकी फीलिंग्स होती हैं, एक नए एटमॉस्फेयर में एडजस्ट करने में टाइम लगता है, तो उन चीज़ों से आप कैसे टैकल करते हैं?
देखिए,
कई बार तो मैंने ये भी देखा है कि बच्चे इतने ज़्यादा डिप्रेस्ड होते हैं, इतने वॉइड क्रिएट हो चुका होता है कि दे रिफ्यूज़ टू ईट और टॉक टू एनीबॉडी। ऐसे केसेस आई एम श्योर आपने भी डील करे होंगे कभी ना कभी।
देखिए, फ्रॉम अ ह्यूमन पर्सपेक्टिव, चाइल्ड गोज थ्रू ग्रीफिंग प्रोसेस, इट्स अ नॉर्मल प्रोसेस। Even if we today lose one of our family members, we will go through the process of grieving.
Exactly.
A grieving process is very necessary in a human being. We have to allow that process to take place. If you look at the even according to Hindu systems, you have a 10 or 13 days of grieving period where a family has to come together and grieve through that process and yet come out of that process. Children also need to be given the space to grieve when they lose a family member, especially a father or a mother. So it's a natural process that is very important. You should not take that grieving process away from them. But the question is, how can you provide them support after the grieving process?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm asking, that how you tackle it.
Yeah, so it's very important that you prepare the family, extended family, to be there, because at the end of the day, the child will trust. The first one is the family. The child has no trust of strangers. The child
Family
knows no
in case
strangers. It could be an uncle, it could be an aunt, it could be a grandmother, it could be a grandfather, from paternal or maternal sides.
Okay.
But somebody who is linked to the family as a blood relative is the first resource for the child.
And who is ready to take the charge?
Obviously,
yes, they would consent.
Exactly,
right?
It has to be somebody who agrees to take care of the child. So then you have to prepare these families for that kind of situations. One of the major problems everybody turns around in today, especially in a city like Delhi, is हमारे पास पैसा नहीं है, हम बच्चा को नहीं रखना चाहते हैं। मैंने कितने केसेस देखे हैं कि हम बच्चा नहीं रखना चाहते, इसका बच्चा है क्योंकि हम नहीं रखेंगे क्योंकि हमारे पास पैसा नहीं है, हमारे पास अपने बच्चे हैं। 90% of the time people do that.
But which is true also, because we have so many expenses nowadays that it is even difficult, I must say, to feed ourselves.
Well, it's a subjective matter. People spend more money on buying dogs than looking after a child.
Exactly.
A human being's value has been lost today. We have lost our priorities. Let's be honest, with a 1.3 billion population, we don't seem to care.
बट वो चीज़ होती है ना कि ठीक है, आपने अडॉप्ट तो कर लिया किसी को या किसी की केयर करने का सोच लिया, बट वो सिर्फ एक रोटी वाला एक्सपेंस नहीं होता, उतना तो बंदा बेयर कर लेता है, बहुत सारे एक्सपेंसेस होते हैं, इसीलिए आई थिंक कुछ लोग बैकआउट कर देते हैं।
See, that is why the program about care, the program that we are calling, it's called kinship care and engagement. kinship care and engagement में प्रोग्राम ऐसा है कि हम लोग दो चीज़ को हम बहुत ज़रूरी मानते हैं। सबसे पहले चीज़ ये है कि काउंसलिंग एंड सस्टेनेबिलिटी ऑफ द फैमिली इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। जो भी रिमेनिंग फैमिली है, जैसे हस्बैंड है या वाइफ है या नाना नाजी है जो बच्चे को देखभाल कर रहे हैं, उनकी सपोर्ट करना और उनको काउंसलिंग करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। यू विल एग्री विथ मी कि एज एन इंडिविजुअल 80% of our problems are insecure and not resolved because we have nobody to talk to.
Exactly.
देखिए हमारी प्रॉब्लम्स क्या होती है कि हम लोग अंदर हम घुटते रहते हैं, हमारे पास कोई है नहीं बात करने के लिए। इतना बड़ा सिटी में लोगों के पास समय है नहीं,
ट्रस्ट भी नहीं कर सकते,
ट्रस्ट नहीं है और समय भी नहीं है। कोई नहीं आता आपसे बैठ के बात करेगा, जी आपकी दुख क्या है, आपकी प्रॉब्लम्स क्या है, मैं आपको सुनूं, मैं आपको मदद करूं, मैं आपको एडवाइस दूं, कोई नहीं करता।
और कहते हैं कि एडवाइस देने से तो बेटर है कि अगर आप किसी की बात सुन ही लो, उसकी आधी प्रॉब्लम तो वैसे ही सॉल्व हो जाती है।
आप बिना जजमेंट किए आप किसी का बात सुनिए। प्रॉब्लम ये है कि हम लोग जजमेंटल हो जाते हैं, हम आइडियाज देते हैं, नहीं जी आपने ये गलत किया है, ये सही किया। डोंट बी जजमेंटल। एज अ काउंसलर यू हैव टू बी
And that's what you
non-judgmental.
guys do.
So you
That's
have
very
to,
nice.
we have to be there to just stand by somebody and say, I stand with you, I listen to you, I understand your problems, and I'm ready to help you. Now, what is the very important thing is to remember, don't replace the family.
Okay.
If we start replacing families, what will happen? Families will start depending on you. कि भाई आप ही हमारा देखभाल करो, आप ही हमारा प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करो. नहीं, don't create that environment of dependency. You have to make people independent so that they can look after themselves. Otherwise, you are not being a good social.
So as we know that if you actually care for somebody, feed him. Don't feed him with a fish, but teach him fishing, right? So that's the same concept.
Yes, care is basically goes by the concept that we need to help people become independent. Dependency is a big problem today. If you make people dependent on you, you have lost the battle. And with the population that is growing constantly, a lot of people are still underpowered and suffering from lots of problems. It's very easy for them to cling on to you. And the last thing you want as a social worker is to have people who start depending on you emotionally, physically, and financially. That is not the solution. The solution should be that you are able to give a person support, but make that person become independent and look at life from a new perspective, so that the person starts believing in himself or herself and having the confidence to move on with life. If you cannot do that, then you've lost the battle.
Exactly.
So through the care program, we are not looking at making people dependent on anybody. We are looking at making sure that a family can recover from their loss, or if they are going through a loss, how can they move ahead
And be self-reliant.
and be self-reliant. Yes, we provide a stipend to the family, especially to the child. It's a very, very small stipend. It's like 1,000 rupees a month. And if you look at the budgets today, 1,000 rupees a month would probably take care of 1 liter of milk itself for a month. That's all you would get out of the 1,000 rupees. So it's not about creating dependency. It's about making sure that the family feels, yes, there is somebody beside me. Yes, there is somebody who listens to me. And yes, there is somebody who will help me move forward. I think that is a concept that we all want in our lives, whether it is from a stranger or from a family or from a friend or from your life partner. So I think all we are doing now is just getting into community, then making community people understand that yes, we are there. The city of Delhi is not dead for you. The city of Delhi has people who care for you, and we need to make that into a more serious issue because we have problems.
So do you provide some working avenues for them as well?
Well, our plan is basically that when children reach the age of 15, we start guiding them on career options. Because 15 is when you are in class 10, and by 9th and 10th, you need to have the children understand what are career options.
That comes in the counseling part.
That will come in counseling, because it's very important, because 80% of these children or 70% of these children will never go on to university. They know that they have a financial stress in their family. They know that the family cannot sustain them. So they know that the best thing that they can do is get a job. But then the question is, what kind of a job? What are their skills? So we have to start training them from class 9 and class 10 to understand, this is where I can work, this is where my heart is. You could be there's more than 200 different skill sets that they can be trained in once they finish class 12. But then of course, in class 10 and 11, you've got to make a choice of your subjects. So parents don't have that skill. These parents, this single mother, this grandmother, or this grandfather, they themselves being illiterate or barely literate, don't know what it's all about to go in for further education. They need to be motivated. They need to be counseled. The children need to be counseled to know, where is my future. So when you finish class 12, then we eventually provide them with a one-time support for a skill training program. So that when they finish class 12, we can sponsor them to go for a skill training program, so that they come out successful and then get a job. That is the accomplishment that should be there at the end of the day, that the child is now secure to move ahead in life and take care of the responsibilities of his own family, maybe his mother, his grandmother, or whoever has been taking care of him.
That is so thoughtful. After knowing everything about your organization, which is doing such a noble deed, and I'm very happy that it exists here and you are working very hard, I would like to know, and I would like you to give some message. What are your thoughts for those parents who should take care of the children who have lost their original parents? And for the children, how can they be strong and feel good in their future?
देखिए 2 points ये है, पेरेंट्स के लिए बहुत ज़रूरी ये समझना है कि आपकी ज़िंदगी ख़त्म नहीं हो चुकी है. Life moves on. You have to be able to be strong to overcome your loss. We all go through grief. At some point or the other, we will lose a family member. It is a normal human process that we will lose a family member. How do you deal with that is very important. आपको आगे जाना है, and you know that you have to move forward. The only thing is, how can you be strong among yourselves and to move ahead, to look ahead, because the world doesn't end. If you give up, you will die. And if you die, your child is as much at risk of dying. The question is that you cannot give up on life. You have to move ahead. You have to be positive about moving ahead, and you've got to have determination to move ahead. Yes, people like us can come and help you. We can listen to you and we can support you, but it is your decision and your willpower that will take you ahead. As far as children are concerned, children must understand that again, grief is a part of life. We are very fortunate that we have parents who take care of us, but there are many children who don't have parents. Many children lose their parents at a young age. It could be because of a natural calamity, it could be because of health concerns that make you lose a parent. How do you deal with that loss is very important. You have to be able to again be strong. You have to go through a grieving process, but again move out of it and look at your life, because your parents have given you life and you have to make the best out of that life that you've been blessed with.
Thanks a lot, sir, for sharing your views, and I really acknowledge your concept. All the very best for your future, and thanks for coming to Marwah Studios.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So friends, as we know that every child deserves to be loved and cared for, and this is what this organization is doing, Shishu Sankopan Sanstha. It is taking up a lot of initiatives to care for children who have lost their parents, and I'm glad that it ever exists, and I hope that it do wonders in future as well. This is all for today. I, Shreeya Katyal, sign off for the day, but I'll be back very soon with another guest. Until then, keep watching MSTV हर पल आपके साथ.